Welcome into the I-80s Boys College Football Show. As always, I'm Christian Hunt, and that guy right over there is...
It'd be Chris Vaca, also known as the man over here, the myth and the legend. Christian, this is a good slate of games today, man. Some very interesting matchups. Man, what's your thoughts today on the slate? This is a lot better than last week's.
Yeah, this is, kind of like we talked about, hey, last week, the last couple weeks, I feel like it's been the sort of that mid-season sort of lull, if you will, where this week it's a little more, some bigger matchups, right? Some top 25 matchups coming down the pipeline for us for sure. Just about every slate, every time slate you could imagine, there's going to be some good games. I'm excited about it, Chris. Yeah, and we had some decent games yesterday too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, we did. There was a couple the other night too. The Texas Tech TCU game that came down to the wire, pretty close game. There's been some good games on this week, man, and even this weekend. Like I said, I think even this 11 o'clock slate, man, there's a couple of really good early games. We'll probably get into it. Arkansas, Florida, K-State, Texas. That's probably the big one this morning, Christian.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I said, there are going to be some upsets today. I feel like it's going to be one of those days. I don't know why. I just do. I think somebody's going to get knocked off. A couple teams maybe in the top 10. I know that might not be good for your parlay today, Christian.
Hey, well, as long as there's chaos, then that's what keeps us around here, right?
Absolutely. And my Huskers play at 11, man. Let's go. Going for 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Let's go. And Children of the Corn says, go Big Red. You goddamn right. We need this one today. We get this one, Christian. We're bowl eligible, my man. First time since 2016.
Absolutely, dude. First time since 2016. Now, you actually seem to think, if I remember right, Michigan State has a shot to beat you guys today. Is that right?
I do. I know we talked about this week. I called you and I said, man, I'm kind of worried because this feels like a trap game, right? Like Michigan State, we know hasn't gotten a conference win. I think them and Indiana are the only two Big Ten teams. But I'm a little worried, man. I'm a little worried today. Trap game potentially. I don't know, man. I know that sounds crazy. I know a lot of money's on Nebraska to win this game. Just looking in the betting world here, but I'm just a little worried, Christian. Talk me off my leg.
Well, that's okay. We'll get to them here in a little bit. First we'll start off with a little Ohio State and Rutgers, though, right, Chris?
Yeah, let's go. Number one team in the country?
Number Christian. One.
Would you agree with that statement, by the way? Would you rate them number one currently before we get into this, after everything so far this season?
Yeah, I would. I mean, they have 2 top 10 wins, right?
Yeah, I agree. I just want to hear your thoughts on that. I agree with them being rated.
Now, do I think they're going to finish the year number one? Yeah. If the offense keeps improving, they've got a shot.
I think so. Their offense is gonna have to take a pretty big step forward. I think they're gonna have a tough time against Michigan at the end of the year. I still think Michigan would beat them right now. I know that probably pisses off the Ohio State man, but just from what I've seen so far from both teams, but hats off to Ohio State this year, Christian. They got a defense. We made fun of them a lot for being soft over the years. Their defense is top 5 in the country. They're legit. Ryan Day's done some work over there for sure.
Now, I think in the offseason, we touched on that, and somebody picked Ohio State and somebody picked Michigan.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
I think it would have been you picking Ohio State because I know I'm high on Michigan this year. So cheating or not, I'll still roll with the Wolverines when that game comes. Hopefully they're both undefeated at that time. It's always a good game.
Yeah, still got to roll with them. I'm still going to roll with Ohio State in this one. I think Ohio State is on kind of cruise control right now. I don't think they're going to get upset. I think both Michigan and Ohio State should go into their matchup undefeated, and it'll be a top 3 matchup between both these schools. So it'll be fun to see. Missouri and Georgia, top 15 matchup for sure. Missouri is number 12 right now. Georgia is number 2. Game's at Athens. It's not an 11 o'clock kick. It's a 2:30 kick or a 3:30 kick, Eastern time. Chris, does Missouri realistically have a shot in this one?
I hate to say this, and you said that the key point there, it's in Athens, and I don't know everybody's going to say, well, Missouri played us tough last year. If you're the Georgia man, and Christian, that was a close game, but by far Georgia's closest game last year. But this is this year. Like I said, I think Luther Burton is going to have a huge game. Missouri's going to have less turnovers. I know that sounds very generic and obvious, but for them to play in this one, Christian, I just don't know I don't think Georgia's going to have any problem in this game scoring points. I don't know if Missouri can keep up. That's the big thing in this one. Mizzou's defense is pretty suspect. I mean, they played some good teams this year, but nothing like Georgia. Carson Beck has been on fire the last few weeks, actually pretty much for the most of the year. I don't think this one's relatively close, Christian. I like the Bulldogs here by at least 2 touchdowns.
By the way, do you know when the last time Georgia lost at home was, Chris?
Holy shit, that's got to be a long time ago. Give it to me. I don't know. It's got to be 3 years ago, at least.
They last lost at home October 12th, 2019.
Woo. Wow.
That was against South Carolina.
Wow, man, that's a long time ago. It ain't gonna happen today, man. Nothing against the Missouri man, but not today.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Like I said, just to be safe, I bet on Mizzou to win that game, just so that way if my team wins, hey, I can win some money. If not, my team wins. So we're all good.
Absolutely.
Purdue, Michigan, Florida State, Pittsburgh. We'll kind of jump into them really quick. I mean, I don't think Purdue's got a shot against Michigan, and I don't think Pitt's got a shot against Florida State.
No, I'll leave it at that. That's I do. If there's no way either of these two teams get upset today. The two teams, those Purdue's not a very good football team, as we know, and Pittsburgh. Oh my God, Pat Narduzzi's on the hot seat over there. I think just with everything going on this year.
Yeah. Looking at Cal and Oregon, Chris, you could probably make the same argument, right? Cal's been playing better as of late, but just haven't been able to finish some of their games, right?
Yeah. Cal's offense. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, they've rotated about 3 quarterbacks this year. They're putting up points. Christian, do you see a potential upset here against Oregon today? It is in Eugene. I know Oregon can score some points, but Oregon looks like the most complete team in the country lately. And probably in my opinion, the best 1-loss team in the country.
I would agree. And to make that point further, I think Oregon might be one of the most balanced teams in all of college football.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Right. So they've got a really good defense, and offensively, I think, hey, they can light it up too. So I find it really tough. I think that the best thing to happen to Oregon was that loss at Washington. You can see the trajectory of both programs ever since then and how that's kind of played out. Now, I know, hey, Washington's got some people that have been sick or hurt, and there's a lot of little things kind of adding up. But hey, it's good football. And speaking of Washington, they take on USC today on the road. What's your thoughts on that game? Does USC have a shot to beat Washington?
This is going to sound crazy, and excuse me, Daniel's not on here, our resident Washington diehard fan, but I'm a little worried strictly because Washington hasn't looked good the last 2-3 weeks since the win over Oregon. I heard, though, Penix is playing with some bad messed up ribs. That just came out the other day. I do remember in that game against Oregon, he took a couple shots late in that game, Christian, hobbled around. They said that's still bothering the hell out of him. Now, I'm not going to say that's make an excuse why they haven't been playing well, but they haven't looked very good. I think you would agree with that. Yeah. Southern Cal is in, I don't know what mode they're in. I can't believe this. I got into it with one of our fans of the show this week about Southern Cal still in the running for the Pac-12. They only have one Pac-12 loss, believe it or not. If they would happen to win this game, that's going to shake up the Pac-12 a little bit. I think this game is close. I'm going to still lean Washington. I know that sounds crazy. I know Southern Cal's defense is grade A trash. But I'm a little worried about Penix in that offense, man. They haven't done much the last couple of weeks, Christian.
Yeah, they've been kind of sputtering, but I mean, it kind of, to me, everybody's been able to kind of take advantage of that USC defense. But the thing about USC is, as far as the Pac-12 is concerned, their future is still in their hands. You know what I mean? If they were to win today at home against Washington, and then somehow pull out a win against Oregon and UCLA down the stretch there, they are still in a really good spot, I think, as far as taking control and getting a Pac-12 championship bid there.
I agree, and that's crazy to say that, right? I mean, just with the way they've looked this year, a lot of people wrote them off. I know I've been kind of trying to ride them out every week, and you keep beating me on these bets with them. So I mean, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Kansas State and Texas. Now, I think you said this has upset alert on it, right?
It does. It does. And I heard Quinn Ewers might play today. I don't know if that's true.
Ooh.
Maybe you got some news on that. If that's the case, then I'm taking Texas. I haven't bet on this game yet. If he's not playing, and I know we like Malik Murphy, Christian, I know you do too. He didn't look great last week, but he didn't look terrible. I think K-State's got a shot. K-State's probably the hottest team in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State the last 4 or 5 weeks, man. They've been playing really good football over there. They can run the ball really well. I'm not sold on Texas's defense. I thought I was after the first couple weeks of the season. Christian, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you see any way that K-State can pull that win off in Austin today?
I mean, I could see a way, you know what I mean? Especially if Ewers doesn't play, they're able to kind of contain Murphy. He has an off day, whatever. And Kansas State just starts doing Kansas State things right on the road, especially. It's an 11 o'clock kickoff, so that can kind of be a little bit. That's where weird things can kind of happen at. I feel like it's either early in the day or late at night, right? Where we see the most crazy shit happen.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I think as far as Kansas State, Texas is concerned, I could see a way. But hey, you're a one-loss team already. So you lose here, and I can tell you right now, a lot of Texas fans are going to start. The pitchforks are going to start coming out, for Sarkisian if they were to lose, right? Because one thing that you got to do if you're at Texas is, number one, you got to recruit really well, which Sarkisian has done a great job at that, right? Top 10 classes, I feel like just about every year he's been there. But the next side of that is, hey, man, you're starting to get into year 2, year 3. We got to start doing something. We've got the quarterback. We've got the receivers. We've got the offensive line. Now we just have to be able, right, to do something on defense. We have to be able to win matchups up front and dominate them, especially if you're coming over to the SEC and you don't want to get mauled like we typically see with some of these Big 12 schools, right? Where they go and they go into these bowl games and they end up playing some mid-tier SEC school and end up getting just destroyed in bowl games. Now, it's not always, but we especially see it a lot more in the playoffs, and that's where I want to see Texas take that step up, right? And I don't know. I mean, we'll see what it is, but you got to win today at Kansas State. You're still the number 7 team in the country, so your future is ahead of you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I don't have much more to add to that game. Should be a good game, though. It really should be. I think it'll be a close one.
LSU and Bama, Chris. This is a game that we've talked about, I feel like, ad nauseum, and this is really, for both these teams, this is their season, pretty much, right? If LSU wants to have any shot at possibly getting back into the playoffs here as the number 14 team in the country, I mean, it really starts today. Both teams coming off a bye. I picked LSU, you picked Alabama. In the comment sections, I mean, we're getting both sides of that fan base kind of getting in there when we did our preview on this and our prediction. And it's funny because you go and look at the comments and you get the Bama fans coming in talking about there's no way you give Saban this amount of time, the talent, et cetera, that they're going to lose. The LSU fans are coming in and they're saying there's no way that they're going to hold us under 30 points in this one. And it's going to be an interesting game. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think this is a tale of two teams, right? You got the number one team in the country offensively in LSU, but probably one of the worst defenses, especially on the back end. And then you got Bama, right? The only thing they're good at offense is throwing that deep ball. Jalen Milroe, he can do that once in a while. But Alabama's defense is pretty good. I think if this game gets into the 30s, upper 30s, it helps LSU out, right? If it's a track meet shootout type of game, if this thing's played within the 20s or lower, even the mid 20s, I think this favors Alabama. I put some, I don't want to say heavy money, but I put some heavy money. I'm going to say heavy money on the Alabama money line today, Christian. I've been riding Bama all year long. I think they win this one. I think this is a very good game, though, across the board. It always is every year. I will say this, It's at Alabama. They're a lot better at home than they are on the road. You could say that about a lot of teams. Also, Bama's gotten 10 out of the last 12 against LSU. So I'm gonna go with the analytics on this one, and I'm gonna go with Bama today.
I still have LSU. I think this is going to be one where, here's the thing, Chris, right? You look at Alabama, right? What gives Alabama issues all year long? What's been the thing that has kind of scared Alabama, right? Like we talk about it, and I think that's offense. Teams that have really good offenses. Texas, I wouldn't say Texas. I mean, defensively, Texas is improved considering where they've been at in years past.
Yeah.
But Texas's offense is really what I think was the difference maker in that game. And we all like to say, hey, you give Saban that time. Listen, Brian Kelly may not be I think he might be the third or fourth best coach in the SEC, in my opinion, right now. But you're still giving him a chance to have a couple weeks of preparation for this one. And the other side of it, Chris, is that offense can light you up. And Bama, the way they're built, they're not built to win shootouts.
No, I agree with you, Chris. That's a good point. I mean, that's what I was saying, basically. If this game gets in the 30s or 40s, this is all for LSU, in my opinion, because there's no doubt about it. Jayden Daniels, dude, is a Heisman candidate easily. He's probably one of the top 3-4 in the country. And, dude, he not only can he throw the ball, he can run the ball, man. He's a lot of that offense. And Bama's going to have a tough time. If they can, they're just going to have to – I don't want to say – you can't hold that guy down, but you can slow him down a little bit. And Alabama's going to have to put some long drives together in this game, in my opinion, if they want a shot in this one. And I'm going to lean that way. I'm not happy about it, but here we are.
Oh, I agree. And this to me is kind of the mid-tier SEC West matchup that's also going on today at 11 o'clock. Texas A&M and Ole Miss. This is going to be a fun game, right? I mean, A&M's outside the top 25 here, but they certainly want to knock off Ole Miss and derail their shot at potentially really doing a lot this year, right? I mean, Ole Miss is still kind of hanging around. They still have a shot, right, in the SEC West?
Yeah, they only got one loss, right? And that was to God, who the hell did they lose to? Bama this year, right?
Bama.
That was their only loss. And they beat LSU in that shootout game.
So, you would think that now they would have to have some other stuff happen as well, I feel like, right? They would have to have they would probably have to have Alabama lose again this year, and then they would also have to have LSU lose another game as well. But that's the great part of it. It's probably not likely that Bama loses another game. It's probably not likely that, it's probably not likely Ole Miss ends up making it. But they've got their future ahead of them right here.
Yeah, no, I know I came on air and I said I took Texas A&M in this game. The more I think about it, the more I'm leaning Ole Miss now. I'm probably going to place a bet, take the 3 points with them today. But Ole Miss is just they've been quietly winning. We don't talk about them a lot. One loss this year, Christian, in the big win against LSU. So I like I said, I think this will be a good game. It would make Jimbo Fisher's coaching for his job. I mean, he needs this game. I think if he doesn't get this one, I think he's gone. I really do. Not probably today, but as far as A&M fans go, I think they've about had enough. So this is a big one for A&M. They need to get one today on the road.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. Talk to me a little bit about Oklahoma State.
Woo. Jesus. This game, the Bedlam series, this thing's always close. We talked about it Wednesday. Oklahoma's going to have to throw the ball today, right, Christian? I mean, what did they have last week with Dylan Gabriel? Barely threw the ball, 19 times? Got upset. Looked terrible in that game. It looked terrible the last couple of weeks, honestly, since coming off the big win against Texas. I don't know what's going on with Oklahoma. I thought their defense was really legit. Now you're starting to see a bunch of holes in it as well. Oklahoma State, as I said, them and K-State, probably the two hottest teams in the Big 12. Oklahoma State's been on a rampage lately. I like Oklahoma State in this game. I do. I haven't bet on it yet. I know we talked about it on Wednesday. I think I leaned Oklahoma, but the more I think about this, Christian, I want to hear your thoughts on this game. This is a big one, man, and nothing would make the Pokes happy to knock off OU this year and send them out to the SEC with a big win today.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things at play here that might sort of cancel each other out, right? Which makes this matchup very interesting. First of all, Oklahoma's coming off a loss last week. In the last couple weeks, they've been begging to be beat pretty much, I feel like, right? So
Yep.
you got to take that into consideration. The other side of it is Mike Gundy loves to hate Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, really, primarily it's Oklahoma. I mean, every time they put a microphone in his face, he can't talk about how, well, hey, I mean, they're scared. They're jumping to the SEC. They don't want this rivalry, pretty much, is kind of paraphrasing what he's saying, right? So if there's one game a year that Oklahoma State could go 2-10, but the one game a year that they're going to show up for is probably going to be this one, right? Yep. And yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State has had a very up and down season, but they've rebounded nicely. Once they've kind of gotten into Big 12 play, I think they're doing all right here. To me, it's kind of a wash. Now, I picked Oklahoma in the rebound game here. I think Brent Venables needs to get them right, and this is a get-right game for them. They're going to be fired. They're going to be fired up and pissed off. Maybe the best thing to happen to them was the fact that they lost to Kansas last week, and they realized, hey, we can't sit there and try to be vanilla and only throw the ball 19 times. We have to go out and we have to put the ball in the air and throw it 30, 40 times, and we have to get our swagger back, right? That's what I think Oklahoma has to do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. This should be a good one, man. Like I said, there's some really good games on today's slate, some rivalry games. This will be a good one. Tale of two teams here. Like I said, Oklahoma's looked like shit the last couple of weeks, and Oklahoma State's looked awesome. So we're gonna find out today. Right. And I think I lost Christian. I did. Moving on, guys. I'll talk to the chat here real quick. Sean Lewis demoted at Colorado. Yeah, children corn. Yeah, Colorado's a dumpster fire right now, man. Dion, I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. They need to figure something out though defensively to get it going over there. Like I said, they got some good games left. They're still trying to get bowl eligible. So Colorado, I'm sticking by my statement. They still get 5 or 6 wins this year, but not looking good. Let's see here. What else do we got? Christian must be struggling with the old internet over there. There he comes. He's coming back in. There he is.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Moving on. We talked about OU, Oklahoma State. What was the next one on the slate?
Here. Boom. There you go. Sometimes you just got to hit the pause button like Oklahoma's about to do. Right? There you go. You got to reload it back. There you go. I think we're looking at we'll do Penn State, Maryland real quick. Chris, Maryland was a team that I think coming into this season we were both really high on. We thought, hey, Mike Loxley, he's been doing pretty good over there. The defense, we thought, hey, they have a good shot at being good like they always are, quietly good. And then you've got the younger brother Tagovailoa out there. Talia Tagovailoa, I think is how you say it. Yep. But they've just folded this year, and sometimes that happens, right?
Yeah, you said it, man. We both thought Maryland was going to be tough this year. Before the season started, I would have said Maryland would have been rated in the top 20. Penn State obviously being where they're at. I said, hey, this has been a really close game. Maryland's scary when they play good teams, and then they've gotten beat by Illinois this year. Did they get beat by Purdue or somebody else? It's just they've been so up and down. They played Ohio State for 3 quarters plus this year. I don't understand Maryland. I'm going to lean Penn State here. They're just the better team. Even though Penn State hasn't impressed me the last few weeks with their play offensively, especially. But I'm not going to put my money on Maryland, Christian. I just can't. I can't. I actually don't even think this game's probably going to be relatively close after half. I don't. Penn State should be able to move the ball against Maryland. I know their defense is decent, but Maryland's been so up and down this year, Christian.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, Penn State should be able to come in here and get this W. I mean, honestly, wouldn't that be something though if Maryland comes in and knocks them off today, right?
Yeah, no,
just
I agree.
Throwing further chaos. Now, I will say this: if Maryland beats Penn State and Michigan beats Penn State, I think Penn State plays Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, they do. Yep.
Okay. Good.
I think so.
That's got to be it, right? For Franklin, I would imagine.
I don't know, man. I mean, I know they love him over there. I know they're getting tired of the 9-10 win seasons, and he hasn't beaten both those teams since 2016 in the same year. So That's a tough one, man. I like James Franklin, but I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of talk about that though if he can't pull this one off. And they always have the 2 losses, right? It's the Ohio State, Michigan, man. And this was probably a lot of people thought this is probably the most talented team he's had since he's been there. And it's 8-9 years he's been there. So I don't know, man. This will be interesting. They need to go out today and get a big win though. They need this one over Maryland, 100% though.
Well, I want to float a name out there to you, right? That might be a little interesting, right? If they were to lose, right? This might be a guy that could have, could be a name that could surface here, right? And that is Bill O'Brien.
Ooh, okay.
Former Penn State coach. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, no, we don't want Bill O'Brien back. You know what I mean? But sometimes, sometimes that's what you need, right? At Penn State, I mean, he was there for a couple years, put up a 15-9 record, right? Then took the job at Houston in the NFL in 2014. But it's a guy that, honestly, the Patriots offense, I mean, has been I don't really know anybody that probably in a year is going to make them better. But everywhere Bill O'Brien's been on the offensive side of the ball, he's taken them to that next level. I would like to think if you give Bill O'Brien a lot of the offensive talent he would have at Penn State, he'd probably do a pretty damn good job. Eventually he's going to want a head coaching job again.
Yeah, I don't know if he would go back to Penn State, man. He did do a hell of a job coming there when after the whole Jerry Sandusky thing, all that, he took over and they were on all those bans and, limited scholarships and all that. He did a great job with those teams and turned it around. You know what I mean? They didn't sit in the dumpster very long. A lot of people thought that after that death penalty type thing that it would take 10 years for them to rebound after all that sanctions and all that shit. He did a good job there, though. I still think they roll with Franklin regardless this year, just because next year's the 12-team playoff. And a lot of these years, if they had the 12-teamer, Penn State would be getting in. It seems like they're always the team that's kind of left outside every year, just out of the top 5 or top 6. But yeah, they need to beat Ohio State. They obviously lost to them this year. They need to beat Michigan. I'm assuming Penn State fans are probably getting tired of being the third best team in the Big Ten.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Moving ahead here, Chris, Virginia Tech, Louisville. This was a game I think that, hey, on the surface of it, we thought, well, Louisville's going to, Louisville should win this game. I mean, Virginia Tech's quiet. This is the battle right here for whoever's going to probably go to the ACC championship game against Florida State.
Yep.
My big question is, we saw an article that popped up. Louisville's going to be without some key players today. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be without a couple of wide receivers.
Yeah, and they're possibly
their running back, their best running back, their best receiver, their left tackle, their center, and then also their top cornerback. So, I mean, to me, this is going to be an interesting mashup. I still think, as weird as this is to say, because Virginia Tech's best part of their team is definitely their defense, right? So offensively, they don't really scare me as much. So this might, to me, have potential to be a very low-scoring game, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say upset alert per se, but I will say it's got that potential to probably scare some Louisville fans probably going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know I said, 24-14 on Wednesday's show. I think it's going to be low scoring. And now with these guys being injured, how much stock do you put in Louisville this year because of the big win over Notre Dame, right? That was probably one of their biggest wins since the Lamar Jackson days. But then they turn around and lose to it, just get blown out by a terrible Pitt team with 2 or 3 wins. What are they? They've done enough. They got 1 loss. Va-Tech is a team that we were wrong on this year, Christian. I think a lot of people were. They've really turned it around. I think this game, like you said, I agree with you 100% on this one. I think it's a low scoring, kind of an ugly game. I'm still going to lean Louisville here, even with the injuries. I think they're still the better team with probably the better coach. So I'll go that route.
Yeah. I would probably agree with you on that one. I'm not quite ready yet. I mean, I could see a way Virginia Tech could pull this off, right? Something about those Virginia teams when they're going up against top 15 teams on the road, man. It's just scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Notre Dame, Clemson. This is a game that coming into this week, you called me a little bit and you said, hey, I think Clemson's going to beat Notre Dame. And then we got news today that allegedly Will Shipley, star running back for Clemson, a lot of their offense does a lot for him, has been ruled out for this one. Are you still leaning that way, Chris? Or
Yes. Here's the thing. Maffa, their backup running back, they play him a lot with Shipley. He's you've seen him play, the bigger guy. He's physical running back, looks like Derrick Henry. I'm not taking probably Clemson to win this game. I took the 3.5 points. That line has shifted quite a bit now, but I'm going to take the 3.5 with Clemson. I know everybody's off Clemson. It sounds like a crazy, stupid bet. I just think that Clemson, they played with Florida State this year close. They played a lot of close games. Every game they play, no matter who the hell it is, whether it's NC State, Miami, you name it. Even if they played Nebraska, it'd be a close game. I'm gonna say this game will be close today. I know you're gonna tell me, holy shit, Notre Dame's gonna win by 21. So I'm waiting for you to tell me that. But I know it sounds crazy, but I think this game's close. I'll still lean Notre Dame, but I think it's within a field goal.
yeah, I think Notre Dame, I mean, still top 15 team, but I still think Notre Dame's got it. I mean, honestly, I think Notre Dame's defense really good. I think their offense is also really good as well. You know, we touched on Oregon probably being one of the most complete teams in the country. I think Notre Dame is, I mean, they're up there. You know, I'm not saying they're the best or they're the most balanced, but they've got a really good defense. And I think their offense at times, I mean, they can run the ball and they can throw it. I mean, Sam Hartman's still a good quarterback. And, you know, that just, this year, you know, Chris, this kind of brings up another good point. We don't have to go super long into this. This year, just because of the COVID years and the amount of experience that you're going to have going into this draft this year, this might be one of the deepest quarterback classes we've ever seen, right? Going into the NFL this year, right?
Yeah, dude, there's like 7 guys that are all probably going to end up playing the NFL at some point. I mean, actually roles in the NFL, dude. I'm with you. This class is loaded with a lot of QB talent.
And there's guys that you don't even really think of, like Jaden Daniels, right? I mean, he might have a shot to go in and do something in the league. You've got Sam Hartman, another guy that'll be pretty good. JJ McCarthy. I mean, especially when Harbaugh jumps to the NFL next year, right? You know, he might be able to land. Like I was thinking about that. What if Harbaugh got the Raiders job and somehow was able to land McCarthy?
Yeah, well, he likes him. He knows the system. He recruited him as a high schooler. Yeah, I mean, we'll throw some other names in there real quick too. Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. My God, man. Shador Sanders, if he decides to go, I don't think he will. I think he'll stay another year. But there's a lot of guys out there. Carson Beck, my God. Yeah. I mean, if you're the Falcons, go get yourself a quarterback this year, Christian. Come on.
Yeah. Whenever when they play, assuming they make it to the SC championship game. Hey, man. Just after the game's over, just invite him up to the if you're Arthur Blank, just invite him up to the suite. Say, hey man, how much you want? Here's a blank check. Go for it.
Exactly, dude. No, but you're right though. This is probably one of the most loaded quarterback classes I've ever seen, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Oregon State, Colorado. What makes this so interesting to me is Chris, Sean Lewis being demoted. They got Shermer. Was it Pat Shermer now calling the plays for him?
Yeah. I didn't think the offense was the problem.
No, I still don't think it is. So, hey, you know, this to me is you're breaking in a new play caller going up against a pretty stout defense, I would imagine, right, in Oregon State, who also can light you up on the other side, too. To me, I would have probably fired the defensive coordinator well before relinquishing play calling, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else.
Yeah. I don't know what Colorado's doing, dude. There's a lot of drama around that team every freaking week. The whole, UCLA stealing their chains at halftime and all this other shit, dude. I'm getting tired of hearing about it. Colorado needs to go out and win 2 more games so they can get bowl eligible, and that'd be a great season for them. So I'm with you. They got a lot of question marks, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Oh, yeah.
Is it basketball season, Chris? Because we got UConn taking on Tennessee.
No, back in the day, that'd be a good women's matchup. I think Tennessee's favored by 35. That sounds about right. They're at home. Tennessee's awesome at home. Different team on the road. I'm not too worried about the Huskies.
Arizona State, Utah. I mean, you got a team that put a self-imposed bowl ban pretty much on themselves in Arizona State going up against Utah, a team that is, they got a couple losses on the season. They're trying to find themselves, I think, coming off that matchup against Oregon. Cam Rising's not playing, and that's another guy we were touching on, this deep quarterback class that could go into the NFL draft this year. I still think Cam Rising will come back next year and probably try to get another shot at this with Utah. They officially ruled him out for the year, so you got Bryce Barnes, I think is his name, Bryson Barnes.
Yep, there you go.
So to me, Utah should win this game. It's a 1:00 game for them, Central Time. It's at home. Dude, just still give me Utah on this one.
Yeah, no, Utah. I know Arizona State's knocked off who they knocked off a couple weeks ago or last week. They knocked off somebody they probably shouldn't have. But Utah's defense is really good, and that'll keep them in this game. I think Utah rolls today. I do.
Oh, I agree with you. Looking at UCLA, Arizona, same thing. Even on the road, I know Arizona's been playing inspired football as of late. I still think the decision for Chip Kelly in the short term was great. With Ethan Garbers, that I think makes the offense a little more stable. They're not turning the ball over as much. But I think in the long term that kind of hurts them because that you might piss off Dante Moore a little bit. And Garbers will probably have multiple years to play here too. So interesting decision to say the least for what they decided to do there, but still give me UCLA on the road. I think it'll be a closer game than a lot of people want to say.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, like I said, we don't talk about Arizona much, but they're actually surprisingly, I think they're like 5-3. They're right on the outside of the top 25. They played well this year, surprised a lot of people. They can throw the ball over the field, but UCLA does have an elite defense. And you're right about Garbers. He's been playing well. They started with Dante Moore, put Garbers in. Man, he's looked good. They've been winning. Give me UCLA in this one as well.
Yeah. Kansas versus Iowa State. I like Kansas in this one, Chris.
I'll say this real quick. Iowa State's defense is coming along. They've really do a pretty good job so far this year. I think this game is kind of close because it's in Iowa State. These two play each other every freaking year. Games are usually relatively close. So I think it's close, but I will lean Kansas. Kansas is the better football team here.
I agree with you. We got Army versus Air Force. Come on now, dude. Give me Air Force.
Yeah, I do. I think this game's low scoring because both teams just run triple option. But yeah, give me Air Force, man. I'm telling you, man. Air Force, dude, they're making the playoffs this year. Let's just leave it there.
Jumping ahead a little bit here, Arkansas versus Florida.
This game opened up at 6.5. Florida. This game is now down to under 3, Christian. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, man, I haven't put my bet in yet. I know. Where's Gator swag at on here? I might take Arkansas money line today, man. I think this is a trap game. I know it's at the Swamp. I know you're going to tell me I'm crazy. Florida needs this game. They do. But I could see this in a trap spot. Arkansas, I still don't think has a win in the SEC, do they, Christian?
No, I think it's at the Swamp. If it was at Arkansas, maybe I could see that. But because Florida's a lot. We've touched on it. Florida on the road hasn't been as good as they have been at home. So plus, I think Florida's kind of pissed off that they lost to Georgia. That's going to kind of play into this a little bit. I got Florida in this one. I just think from what I've seen from Arkansas, I think Florida's defense much improved this year. They'll probably put the clamps on Arkansas. And offensively, does Arkansas's defense scare you, Chris?
Hell no.
Yeah. So, I mean, Graham Mertz and the Gators should be able to move, dink and dunk their way down the field and put points up on them. So that's what should happen. Now, this point of the season, anything can happen, but yeah, still give me Florida in that one.
Okay.
Wisconsin, Indiana. This one's an interesting one, right? Indiana's been playing a lot better on defense, right? Offensively, I feel like they're
a hard team to talk about. They are. I'm with you. I think this game is low scoring, obviously. I still lean Wisconsin here. I think Wisconsin is still trying to fight their ass off for this Big Ten West. They're not out of it yet. Give me Wisconsin, but probably by 10. I think this game is Wisconsin keeps, when they win, it's ugly. Wisconsin, I'm so disappointed in. You know that, Christian. I was so high on them this yeyear, and I know they still got a shot. Everybody in the Big Ten West still does, basically.
Oh, yeah.
But give me Wisconsin in this one. Indiana's just, they don't have a conference win either yet. Them and Michigan State.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll take Wisconsin in that one. Team near and dear to your heart, the Campbell. What is that? The Campbell. What that? What is it? What the?
Looks like a cricket.
Oh my god! No. What is that thing, dude? It's why am I drawing a blank on this, dude? The Campbell Camels, I think, is what they are.
Ah, that is a camel. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So
yeah, give me Campbell today over North Carolina. North Carolina. What the hell has happened to them the last 2 weeks? What the hell has happened to them? What happened?
Sometimes I think you get a loss, right? You get stunned a little bit in the middle of the season. You take on a team that shouldn't be very good and isn't really very good, but for whatever reason, they just play a lights out game and they just shock you. Happens all the time in college football. We see it every year. And then when that happens, you are struggling to pick up the confidence, get your confidence back on and kind of pick the pieces up following a shocking loss to Virginia, right? But I still think North Carolina will roll them. This will be a pretty bad loss for Campbell today.
Yeah, I think so too. North Carolina's got to get back on track.
We'll go to your actual team here, Nebraska versus
sir.
Michigan State. Gator Swag shares your sentiment there. He says Michigan State 34, Nebraska 31. First of all, the thing I see most wrong with that, not necessarily that Michigan State can beat Nebraska, but the score there. Yeah. The fact that you think either one of these teams is going to put up 31 points or more than 30 points. Yeah. Teams that are struggling to, by the way, I looked this up. Michigan State's one of the worst teams in the country as far as points per game. I think they average like 18. Yeah. Nebraska's right next to them. They're putting up 20 points a game, I think it is. Yeah. So, the point spread in this game is what, 35.5, I think the points. So
it's super low. So there's no way if you got a bunch of money, Gators, and you're hammer that over, buddy.
17-7 Michigan State. There you go. That's a more realistic score there, right? This game's on the road for Nebraska. Nebraska hasn't played on the road in a while, right?
No, since Illinois, I think.
So does that play a little bit into your assessment here?
Yes, and I think more, Christian. I just know how this is being a lifelong Nebraska fan of 35 plus years. Is that this is a trap spot? I do. I see this being a close game. I'm not saying I haven't bet on it yet, and the line has moved from 1.5 to 3 now, favor Nebraska. But I'm just a little worried because our offense is not much better than theirs. Now our defense is definitely better, but we've turned the ball over more than everybody we've played. I think we lead the country in fumbles put on the ground. I'm not joking when I say that. If we turn the ball over 3 or 4 times today, dude, like we have been, I mean, they haven't showed me anything that they can't. They can protect the ball. I'm a little worried. Michigan State, they're desperate for a conference win. They don't have one. I'm a little worried about the Huskers today. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get this. Then we'll be bowl eligible, and holy shit, that'll be a good year for Nebraska.
So this brings up an interesting question. Korn asked, if we do go to a bowl game, who might we play? I think it depends, right? I think it's going to depend because it depends on how you finish the season. If you finish, let's say, and you win the Big Ten West, then you're going to end up playing probably like Alabama or LSU.
Oh, God, and I don't want to play either of those.
Right, because it goes off of the runner-up of the Big Ten.
How you finish
plays the runner-up of the SEC.
Correct.
Basically.
Yep.
Or maybe Georgia. As controversial as that might be.
I don't want to play Georgia. I want no parts of Georgia. I will say this though: let's say that we get 6 or 7 wins, let's say Florida is on pace right around there. We could play a Florida type of team. But Christian's right. I do know it has something to do with how you finish in your conference. That's what sucks. Purdue last year, who made the Big Ten title game, who the hell did they play in a bowl game and just got ran the fuck over by somebody way better than them with like 10 wins? I can't remember who it was. But that's something like Nebraska.
Oh, it was LSU. It was LSU.
Yeah, and just dismantled them. I mean,
it was like 63-7 or something, wasn't it?
Something like that, yes. It was just that's what's scary about that. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Nebraska make a Big Ten title game, but boy, you do lose that to Michigan or Ohio State or somebody. Boy, then you're playing somebody like a Georgia, Bama, or LSU. That's holy shit. I mean, those teams are on a different level than Nebraska is.
I would say, it would probably be like LSU. Well, it depending on where they finish the season. I mean, let's say they go 500 the rest of the way, which could happen, right? Just depending. But if if they win out, hey, boom, they're going to probably be, they will be in the conference game, and then they'll end up playing somebody from the SEC more than likely. But if they go 500, then teams like Tennessee or Florida, or you're looking at Iowa State maybe, or maybe even an Oklahoma State, or hell, maybe even a Texas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
On the ACC side of it, if they were to play somebody in the ACC, because you'd want to be looking for like teams that finish third or fourth, maybe in conference standings there, and the other side of that in the ACC right now. I mean, you might end up drawing a team like Louisville or Virginia Tech or UNC.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting how this all shakes out. Like I said, there's a couple more weeks of football here that'll definitely determine a lot of this. But yeah, first things first as the Husker fan, though, let's win the day. Let's get 6 and see what we can do after that. Nebraska still can be favored. I mean, I don't say they're going to be favored in the next 3 games against Maryland, Iowa, and Wisconsin, but they got a chance to beat. All those teams are beatable, 100%.
Yeah.
Joe the Corn says, I don't want to play any of those teams. Yeah, neither do I.
I want to play any of those teams. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like, hey, everybody wants to go to a bowl, but what bowl do you go to? Right. It's a double-edged sword. And I agree with you. But hey, wouldn't it be interesting though? I think for our fan bases anyway, to see like Florida and Nebraska play.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Those 2 teams. I mean, that's they're on the kind of the same trajectory, right? I mean, it's Florida really needs to make a bowl game this year, and Nebraska definitely needs to. It's a possibility. Gators says something about playing Utah. Utah's a lot better team than we are, even with their backup quarterback in there. But that could happen too.
I think that would be a very interesting game, though, right? You got 2 good defenses, 2 offenses that can kind of go very anemic. So that could be a good game. That would be a good matchup to me, right?
Absolutely.
So, you also made a good point. Jacksonville State taking on South Carolina today at 11 o'clock.
Dude, so I wanted to bring this up. I know we're talking about it now, but Gator Swag out there. Somebody threw this in the chat earlier. There is a ton of sharps on Jacksonville State. I mean, in the spread, they're getting 15 points. They think this game's going to be really close. So I'm with you. I don't know if they pulled it off. South Carolina, Christian, what's happened to them this year, man? They just, goddamn, we got what, 2 wins, 3 maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think defensively not very good.
No. Mm-mm.
And then Spencer Rattler's their offense.
You summed it up right there. Pretty good. Beamer's, Beamer won a lot of games the last couple of years, 8 wins. I think that he was out punting his coverage there. This year, kind of reality set in, man, and they've been on the other end of the coin this year on a lot of those games. They've lost a lot of close games, but geez, man, they got to win today, though. They need to win today. You got to get this one at home against Jacksonville State.
Basically a worse version of LSU.
Boy, that's a pretty good comparison. Yeah.
I mean, which is not a good place to be in.
Right. Right.
Because LSU's not like, it's not like LSU's trotting around here undefeated right now. I mean, they're a beatable team, but we'll see what they do tonight, and kind of where they go from there. Looking ahead here, man. Iowa Northwestern, probably the battle of the unders right there.
By the way, my dad called me this week, and he goes, "Is that right? The over under on that game's at 31. It's the lowest I've seen it. First 1 to 10 wins, man. That's going to be a low scoring one. Could Northwestern pull off the upset here, though, Christian? Could it happen? The way
when your offense is that bad, yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? When your offense is that bad, anything can happen, right? Iowa's offense, not very good at all, one of the worst in the country. Northwestern, I think, is worse, though, on offense somehow.
They are.
At least, I trust – I mean, they're both in the same category, I would say, right? But the reason why I would probably lean a little more with Iowa, they can run the football.
Yeah. No, they can. Iowa's the better football team here. But Northwestern's been really weird this year. They scored 30 in a couple games against Maryland and Illinois or Minnesota, and they beat them teams. And then Northwestern comes in and plays Nebraska and just gets mollywopped. So I don't know what Northwestern team shows up, but they are better at home. I could see Northwestern winning this game. I know, like I said, this thing's going to be first 1 to 14 points wins.
Yeah. Interestingly, Illinois versus Minnesota. You guys need Illinois to win this game.
I know. These two teams, God, this whole Big Ten West is just a dart at a dartboard every week with these teams. I'm going to take Minnesota today, Christian. Just simply because they're playing at home. I don't really know what to say about those two teams. A complete disappointment as far as my record predictions for both those teams. I thought both those teams would have 7 or 8 wins this year. They're nowhere near there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, nowhere near it. Dare I say this might be a pick'em game?
Yeah. I'm trying to find a spread on that. Actually, now that you brought it up, that's very interesting. What time is that game? Let's say
2:30.
Let me look here. Right, we got this. I got this pulled up over here. Wow. Yeah, Minnesota -2. So they. I mean, if this was played at a neutral field, it's a pick'em.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Auburn versus Vanderbilt. Game's at Vanderbilt. 3:00 kick. Give
me Vandy today. Give me Vandy.
Right.
Give me Vandy.
Right. Dude, if Vandy wins, we did a segment on Auburn. I think you guys remember in the offseason where we were talking about Auburn. A lot of Auburn fans were really pissed off.
Oh, my God. They hate me. Yeah.
Wow. Florida will be without 3 defensive line starters.
Mm-hmm.
What, were they injured or was it something else?
Wow, that line's jumping down and down. Holy shit, it's down to 2 now.
For Florida versus Arkansas?
Mm-hmm. That's opened at 6. I mean, there's a lot of people in Arkansas, dude. Holy shit. I'm staying away from that game now. I don't want no part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, injuries. Okay. Yeah, give me Vandy in that game too.
Auburn, we've seen their offense, Christian. It's non-existent. Their best offensive game was against Georgia for 1 half.
Yeah. And that's the thing about Vanderbilt. We're using the Georgia game for both these teams, I guess, to kind of gauge it. And like Vandy's offense, I mean, they can move the ball at times.
They can.
So yeah, I would say now Auburn's defense is pretty good. I mean, they've limited some offenses, I think, at times, right? Like they held LSU-ish, right? Like LSU moved down the field, did what they wanted to, but there were some times where they bowed up a little bit. I mean, we saw what happened against Ole Miss, so. But I don't know, man. It just seems to me trap game all over. So, yeah, Let's go Commodores.
All right.
BYU, West Virginia.
Give me the Mountaineers today, man. Give me the Mountaineers.
Oh, yeah. I'll take them. BYU, to me, better team at home. Mm-hmm. The Storm and Mormons, dude, but still, West Virginia. Neil Brown, this is his job pretty much. If he loses to BYU, I think it's over.
Yeah, although they have done a decent job this year from what we thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the Power 5. They're going to get that one today. West Virginia is not a terrible team. They're a lot better than what I thought. At BYU, like you said, if this game was at BYU, it'd probably be a little different story.
Oh, yeah. Kentucky versus Mississippi State. Chris, what are you thinking?
Well, my Wildcats this year, who I was ultra high on, have lost 3 in a row now. I think Kentucky wins today. I think Mississippi State's one of the worst teams in the SEC. Give me Kentucky today.
I agree wholeheartedly. Give me Kentucky in that one. Probably last game here. Last couple games here. Miami versus NC State.
NC State, man, playing. I gotta go with Miami. Miami's the better team. I know NC State. People say when they play at home, they play like an elite team, which is kind of weird over the history of time. They actually do play really well there and knock off people. Give me Miami though. Miami needs this win. Cristobal needs this win. They can't be fucking around with NC State.
No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, give me Miami for sure. Give me Miami. I think it depends what Miami team shows up though, right? Because didn't Miami almost mess around and get beat by Virginia?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't know. In NC State, did they knock off Clemson a couple weeks ago? I mean, it's just ACC is, I thought, was a better conference this year. I'm starting to think is not very good at all outside Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I mean, it's so unpredictable. It's like the Wild West, dude. You can't you start to get high on UNC, then they fuck around and they end up losing a game, right?
Yep.
Or 2, and then you start getting high on who else? Louisville, right?
Louisville
after they beat Notre Dame, and then it's like, okay, turn around and lose to one of the worst teams in your conference.
No, it's been a weird year for the ACC, man. Clemson 4-4 right now. It could easily get beat by Notre Dame. They're 4-5. How many people thought that was going to happen this year? Not very many.
Stanford at Washington, late game here for us. Kick is at 8 o'clock Central. Washington State, I should say. Pretty much, I mean, this game's on the surface not really much there, right? I mean, it's just, hey, Stanford's fighting for a win. I think Stanford long term, they're coming to the ACC next year,
Yep.
and they're fighting for their life to try to do something.
Yep.
Washington State, go ahead.
No, not to interrupt. Sorry, Christian. I think Washington State rolls in this one. I think Washington State's just a better football team. Plus, they're playing at home. They I don't know what happened to Cam Ward in that offense, but they got to get it going. They should be able to get it going against Stanford, I would think.
Yeah, you got to think. Obviously, they should do it, but Stanford's been they've been a little scrappy team at times, right? Just when you think they're down and out, they come storming back. So you got to like that. Chris, there was something I wanted to touch on too about that South Carolina Jacksonville State game, but that I forgot to bring up.
Yes, sir.
Assuming, let's say for example, they do lose. I mean, you firing old Beamer on the spot?
No, I don't think South Carolina can. I think he's done a good job there the previous years. I think this is just when reality set in with him. I know he's kind of a goofball, kicking walls and breaking his foot and all this other shit. I do think he needs to figure out, though, defensively and figure out how to run the goddamn football, dude. I mean, so much has been on Spencer Rattler this year, and he's actually played really well for what he has to work with. I don't think they get rid of him, man. He kind of fits that South Carolina mold, man. He's a goofy guy. I think he does care about the program. I just think kind of reality is just set in this year is like they played in a lot of games. They should have beat Florida, right? They were up 10 with 8 minutes to go. They choked that one away. They played with some other teams this year and just, I don't know, man. He's a goofy dude. I don't know. I just think he fits South Carolina pretty well. I think you got to give him another year.
Yeah. That would be interesting. Dan Mullen to South Carolina.
Ooh. Yeah. That would be interesting. God damn.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, South Carolina, like they have that's the thing, they have some recruits out there, right? You know what I mean? And they go to South Carolina every so often. I don't know. You got to do something if you're South Carolina. That's the hard part, I think, to be in is, there's only so many powerhouse programs in the country. There's maybe 10 that are very consistently good year in, year out that are going to be, recruiting at a high level and winning pretty much, at a high level. And inside that, obviously, there's the ones that are actually going to win a national championship and have a chance to win a national championship, I feel like, every year. And then there's everybody else, right? And I feel like, what's weird to me is we haven't really seen a lot of promotions, I feel like, in a while, right, at the college football level. Mm-hmm. Where guys are getting promoted. It's kind of like, hey, Brian Kelly's jumping from Notre Dame to here. They're bringing in Urban there. They're doing this to that. We're seeing that. We're not seeing a lot of the coordinators work their way up right now. There's kind of a log jam, and I feel like even in the NFL. I mean, when's the last time we saw a college coach get hired in the NFL? Was it Urban?
Yeah, I think last one was probably Urban. I mean, historically, though, that doesn't work. I think Pete Carroll's about the only guy I can really think of that was really good in college and was, won a Super Bowl, played in 2 of them in the NFL. You remember Cliff Kingsbury for the Cardinals, that dumbass from Texas Tech, never, his career wasn't even over 500 at Tech, and they hire him as a head coach of the Cardinals, shits the bed in 3 years. They're still paying him. He totally outmatched when it came to the NFL. NFL and college football are totally different, though. Players are, getting paid in the NFL, and players run the league. Unlike college, mostly it's the head coach running the team. So, yeah.
Well, it's going that way pretty quick, for both of them. I would say Rutgers here is something's breaking out here. Ohio State, both their cornerbacks, it looks like, or defensive backs are going to be out, right? Denzel Burke and Lathan Ransom for today's game, but they're getting back Emeka Ibuka, which is going to be good. So, yeah, I don't know. I still don't give.
You don't give Rutgers a chance in this one?
No, I mean, I think it might be a close game for like a quarter.
Okay. I think this game, Christian. I mean, the line's at 19. Would you take the 19 points if you're Rutgers today at home?
Yeah, I'd probably take that. Okay. But as soon as I take it, then that's when second play of the game, just bam, quarterback gets hurt, and then it's like all downhill from there, and then 35-0 later.
Right. Swag, who you got for your 2 upsets today? Time's yours. Floor is yours, my man.
I think I know one of them.
Yeah,
I know. I think I know both.
Missouri over Georgia, 110-10,
and then Michigan State over Nebraska. 85-91. Yep. Okay. Well, I knew one of them.
Missouri over Georgia.
LSU over Bama.
I don't know. No, but that upset, would you? LSU. I guess you probably would call LSU over Bama an upset. I guess they are favored. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think he's trolling here either. I know normally every week he says somebody's going to beat Georgia, but I actually don't think he's trolling here. I can see what he's saying because it's like Mizzou was our closest game probably regular season last year. But yeah, I don't know. Georgia at home, it's kind of a different beast. I mean, it is like Bama at home too. So, but I don't know. I mean, Georgia, I read something somewhere, and it's a good point. Eventually, Georgia's due for a really bad game where nothing goes right.
Yeah, I think, though, that might come during the SEC championship. In my opinion, in my heart, I truly think these two teams, Georgia and Alabama, are going to meet in the SEC. I think it's destined. That's the one team, Georgia. I know Georgia fans hate Alabama, and Alabama hates Georgia, and you guys have quite the history, especially the last 6 years. Between you two schools, I see it playing in the SEC. I truly do. And I think Alabama wins today. I think Georgia wins today. And they're going to end up meeting in Atlanta. I think that's where they play, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is I don't know, man. I mean, it's going to be a good game, I think. That'll be the best way I can put it. It's going to be a good game. Can't wait for the 2:30 kick there. Yeah, the LSU over Bama, I mean, I agree with that. Like I said, I think LSU, to me, is it a hard thing to say that LSU on paper, right? They should match up and they should be a better team, right, than Bama.
They should.
Now, paper, I know Bama's probably got more talent, but LSU has more experience, I feel like, at key positions.
Oh, 100%. 100%, Christian. We talked about this a lot. I know me and you talked off air on the phone about this game, and I'm with you, man. If you look at it on paper, LSU should win this game. I mean, Alabama has not looked good. I mean, where did the offense go for Alabama, right? All these years under Mac Jones, Bryce Young, Tua, Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's just not there. And I'm with you. The only reason why I'm leaning Bama today is just simply because LSU has not shown me on defense all year. I've seen 8 weeks of it where they give up just this absurd amount of points it don't matter who the hell they're playing. I know you're taking the bye week. This might be the one game their defense shows up and plays. And I'm with you. They got a lot of guys. They got some NFL guys on that defense, don't they, Christian? At LSU, especially in that front.
Oh, seven. Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
So, no, I'm with you, man. This will be a very interesting game, and it's going to have a lot of I mean, it's going to determine who probably wins the SEC on that side. I truly think that.
Yeah. Let's see. Hines Ward, Jordan, and that's the other thing too we got to look at is, it kind of, to me, it offsets, right? Because Missouri's coming off a bye week, but Georgia also got ranked number 2 this week in the college football playoff committee rankings, which I think kind of is going to piss them off, right? I'm seeing an article that came out here. It says Hines Ward, Georgia's number 2 ranking in college football playoff made him feel some type of way.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did feel some type of way in the sense that we've been at the top for a very long time. For us not to be on top for the playoffs rankings, listen, it is what it is. We're not the flashiest team. We just go out there and kick butt every weekend. So, yeah, I mean, he's pretty fired up. I think he wanted to say some more, some more stuff.
I'll say this, though. This will be the best thing for Georgia. I told you this week, too. I think this will motivate and piss Georgia off even more. I don't think Kirby Smart needs any more stuff to pin up on the old, the old chalkboard and say, hey, to motivate his team. You know what I mean? This will piss him off. This is Georgia. That's why I like Georgia this year, dude. I know they're not the most talented team, and I think that's actually a good thing for you guys because you guys have stepped up in places I didn't think you could as far as quarterback play. Your receivers are making some plays out there. You don't have – I know Brock Bowers being hurt's a big deal, but other guys have stepped up so far, man. The production hasn't gone down for Carson Beck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, dude, you're right. I mean, Daniel says it best. Welcome Daniel into the channel here. He's probably been watching for a little bit here, but today anyways. But going to be a November to remember. I agree.
Yeah. And by the way, Daniel,
I agree.
I took your Huskies today -3 over USC, so I just put that bet in. So let's go. Let's get that offense on track.
Dude, yeah, they're due for a good game. I feel like on offense. I know Penix has been sick a little bit, and there's been some other stuff going on, but they're gonna be all right. I think again because a loss today, I would have to think USC. Like Chris, this is kind of what we'll touch on here probably to end it, but
yep.
USC, I feel like, and not just USC, but there's some teams that you can tell they're mentally weak, right? They lose a game and they just start folding. And that to me is kind of what happened to USC.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. They're you saw was it the loss after Notre Dame where Caleb Williams was just pouting on the sideline and looked like he was uninterested, and it starts with the head coach, man. My thoughts about Lincoln Riley, and I know what you think of him too. I think the guy's soft. It's an issue. It's a mental problem with that team. They don't believe in defense. It doesn't look like any of those guys really play that hard or care. That's why I think Washington today. That's why I took them. I think Washington's going to get it back on track. And I like I said, God, I hope USC doesn't win this game because boy, then they're still technically alive for the Pac-12. And oh my God, you have 3 1-loss teams as far as Pac-12 conference play goes, and Oregon and Washington and USC. Please don't beat all. I don't want them to all beat the hell out of each other and then nobody makes the playoff out of the Pac-12.
No, I agree with you. Right. Yeah, he's right. I mean, it's a long, tough grind. I mean, Gearswag says if South Carolina wins, that's an upset. No. I mean, listen, not when it's Jacksonville State.
Come on, put the crack pipe down, Swag. Come on.
I mean, no.
Yeah, this is Jacksonville State we're talking about.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, if they lose, it's an upset, and it's likely that they get upset today.
It is at home for South Carolina, too. So I would like to think that they're going to come out and support the Gamecocks today and get a dub. I mean, they are 15-point favorites currently. So
yeah. Well, Jacksonville State, is 7-2, but who have they played?
Who they play?
Who's the head coach at Iowa next year? That's a good question.
Christian Hunt.
Hey, let me throw something out here at you, right? I thought about this. What would happen if Iowa just went out and hired Scott Frost to be their head coach?
Oh, I knew it because you saw the articles this week. I saw a bunch of Iowa people comment on that. They're like, no, we don't want him. No, and even Nebraska fans were like, no, you don't want him. You don't want him.
Well, no, okay, first of all, Nebraska fans should be all into that, right? You guys should be all for it.
I agree. Oh, my God.
You should be pushing it. Like, say, hey, we'll even pay his salary.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're still paying his salary. I don't, no, hell no, dude. If I'm Iowa, I don't think they get rid of Ferentz. I don't. I think they still give him another year yet over there, but they got to find an offensive coordinator, though. That's something.
I don't think it's so much that, to me, I don't think it's whether or not that they keep him or not. I think it's whether or not he comes back. I think he's really salty about how they did his son. And I think that might be their undoing. Not that it's going to be an undoing, but I think that might be the thing that's like, okay, you want to go ahead and fire my son and let him know 4 weeks for the season left to go here, with 4 more games in the regular season left to go. Dude, I think he's mad. I think he's going to finish this year off. I think he's going to retire, and he's going to say, okay, let's have somebody else come in here. Let's have somebody else come in here and win 8-9 games a year.
He's the longest coach in college football, right? He's been there 25 years? Something like that. Yeah. He's been there for a long time. That's a good point. I just don't. You guys know my thoughts on this. I don't like family. I don't like sons playing for dads. I don't like that stuff in college football. That's just me personally. Because what's that word? Nepotism? Isn't there a word for that? What they call that basically? Where I don't like that Shador plays for his son. I don't like that stuff because it's favoritism on a different level, right? I mean, nobody wants to fire their son, even though Brian Ferentz was terrible as an offensive coordinator. nobody wants to get rid of their son, man. And I think it just puts a bad taste in people's mouths. And I'll be honest with you, that's a really good point, Christian. He might just step down and say, screw it.
Yeah, and it's not so much that they fired his son. Like, I think he probably knew that was coming. I think it's just the way that whole thing shook out, right?
Right.
So, I mean, to me, a guy that I'd like to probably see go somewhere like Iowa would probably be one Pat Fitzgerald.
I think he would be a terrific fit there because he is a defensive guy, and their defense is already elite. Imagine if Pat Fitzgerald, his time at Northwestern, would have had the recruiting sources that like an Iowa does, or even like a Michigan State or an Ohio State, Penn State. You know what I mean, Christian? I mean,
yeah.
What he did with that program was amazing. And in those years that he was there, I still think he's going to find himself a head coaching job somewhere in the Big Ten, whether that's Michigan State or maybe Iowa. I don't know. I still think he's going to find himself. He's a good coach, man, and he loves football, no doubt about it.
Well, and you said it best. I mean, why not wait until after or if you're going to do it, like either wait till after the season's pretty much over, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Or do it a week going into the bye week, which I still don't agree with, right? I still don't agree with it.
I'm with you 100%.
There's going to be plenty of people. If that job came open, there'd be some people that would make some moves for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. That's an interesting take, though. I mean, there's a lot of open jobs potentially here in the Big Ten next year. I mean, Michigan State still don't have a head coach. Northwestern doesn't have a head coach. I think, what's his name? Tom Allen in Indiana. I think he's out after this year. Potentially Iowa job. I mean, there's some openings.
I got one for you. There's a couple of people. Ryan Grubb,
yeah,
Washington's offensive coordinator. That'd be a good one. Another guy that might be terrifying for you to hear, Tony White.
I told you this the other day. I work right next to the Memorial Stadium. I will run my ass down there, and I will start a petition, Christian, to get money to put in his pocket to stay here another year for Nebraska as the defensive coordinator. Man, he's done a terrific job there. Hopefully, we didn't lose you there. It looks like your video might have cut out there. Hey, there he is.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Back, yes. But I don't know if you heard that, but I'll pay Tony White out of my own pocket, bro. Like, I want that guy here another year. I do. He's done a terrific job with the Huskers defense. I know they said, I saw a poll that came out, most talked about coordinators, top 5 coordinators in college football. He was at the top of that list for potential head coaching jobs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Assuming he steps down, right? He might take some time to reflect on it at the end of the year, make some people sweat, and then we'll see what kind of happens with him. But Iowa certainly would be an interesting job. And I think for both parties, it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to kind of maybe look at parting ways there.
Yep. No, I agree.
Fresh start. Well, guys, we're about 14 or so minutes away from the kickoff of the early games here. So we'll be back at it tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock Central Time. So be there and see our reaction to all the games. Chris, I'll let you sign us off, bud.
Yeah. Like I said, guys, please subscribe if you haven't. I know a lot of you guys have been around a while. We do appreciate the sport on a Saturday morning instead of watching that lame-ass college game day on ESPN. So we do appreciate it, though. Like I said, thanks for tuning in and join us tomorrow. We'll see you then.